Yeah.
Good morning, Rabotai. Beruchim Abayim to everybody. Tuesday, the 7th day of Chodesh Mar Heshvan, corresponding to the 16th day of October 2018. We begin dedicating the shiur of today, Le'ilui Nishmat, someone very special from our congregation, Don Eduardo David Ben Farideh Kochava Kohen, that yesterday returned his holy neshama to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So we pray for his Aliyat Neshama, and the family, Be'ezat Hashem, will have a Nechama, together with all the mourners of Sion and Yerushalayim. Amen. Be'ezat Hashem, I will be traveling to Mexico tomorrow for the Ereyat to pay the respects to the family. Also, we're praying for Matir Asurim, a young man that is missing apparently, Dov Shimshon Ben Penina Sara, here in the city of North Miami Beach, a few blocks away from here. So we hope and pray for his safe return, Be'ezat Hashem. And last but not least, we pray for the welfare of our brethren in Israel, that they started to pray for rain, the concept of Mashiva Ruach, and Barech Aleinu, rather, in the Amidah, that they should have a bountiful and a rainy season. Amen. The Zohar of today discusses methods of survival. The Parashah of today discusses, the Zohar from Parashah Lech Lecha, the journey of Abraham Avinu to Egypt. The Pasuk tells us that when Abraham Avinu left his homeland, arrives to Eretz Canaan, known as Eretz Israel, obviously, and the Pasuk says immediately, Vayhi ra'av ba'aretz, Vayered Abraham Misraima. Abraham Avinu went to Egypt. That's a very open, clear Pasuk in the Parashah. And the Pasuk writes the following, that when Abraham Avinu arrives to Egypt, there is an interesting way. The Pasuk writes, Vayhi kasher ikriv lavo Misraima. And when Abraham Avinu was approaching to come to Egypt, Vayomer el Sarai ishto, and he spoke to his wife Sarai, Hinena yadati ki isha yefat mar'e at. Now I know that you are a beautiful lady. So you may ask, why? Till now he didn't know that he was a beautiful lady. Obviously he knew, but now he needs to start worrying about her beauty. And the Mefarshim explains very clearly as follows. First of all, when it says that in Egypt there was a concept that anyone that will find a beautiful wife, a beautiful lady, the king, Pharaoh, so to speak, will compensate the person tremendously. What about Eshet Ish? What about if she's married to someone? Not to worry, they killed the husband. Now she became a widow, unavailable again. This was the irrational and abnormal way of the world in those days. It sounds like a Hollywood movie, but actually this is the way it was in Egypt. To make a long story short, the Zohar Kadosh begins and discusses why the Pasuk says, Vahi kasher hikriv lavo Misraima. The Pasuk, in a grammatical way, should have said, Vahi ka'asher karav, when he was getting closer to Egypt. So the Zohar brings an interesting Pasuk from Sefer Shemot, Parashah Beshalach. The Pasuk tells us that the Jewish people were traveling through the desert as soon as they left Egypt, and the Egyptian nation was right on their tail, basically behind them. And the Pasuk says, Upar'o hikriv, and Par'o got close. But the Hebrew word for that sentence should have been Upar'o karav. Par'o got close to the nation. But the Pasuk says hikriv. He brought closer. Closer to what? The Gemara explains, hikriv libam shel Israel leabihem shebashamayim. The Gemara explains that when the Jewish people saw how close Pharaoh was getting to them, they turned to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. For that reason, the Gemara writes, Pharaoh was compensated, and when the splitting of the Red Sea took place, all the Egyptians left the world. They were following the Jewish people, obviously. ולא נשאר בהם עד אחד. There was one survivor. Who was this survivor? Paro. Why Paro survived? Because he did something good. He threatened the Jews, and that causes the Jewish people to turn to God. God says, Paro, I owe you one. The Gemara further, same Gemara, Masechet Megillah, I believe. Haman, arch enemy of the Jewish people, perhaps one of the worst enemies in history, because he wanted to destroy the entire Jewish nation in one day. Men, women, and children worldwide. All other calamities and atrocities were systematic, were against Torah, against Hachamim, but Haman didn't care. Min na'ar be'ad zaken, from the young to the old, taf benashim, infants and ladies, beyom echad, in a single day. Yet the Gemara tells us that the grandchildren of Haman became converts and became Hachamim. And the Gemara asks, how could it be? It says very simple. Haman achieved what all of the prophets of the Jewish nation throughout history were not able to achieve. What did he achieve? That people united and people did teshuvah. God says, you cause my children to be together. You cause my children to listen to Mordechai. You cause my children to turn to me for help. I owe you one. This is Paro, this is Haman. So the Zohar Kadosh explains, Vayhi kasher hikriv, when Abraham Avinu was getting closer to Egypt, it says the Zohar Kadosh, sheikriv et atzmo el Kadosh Baruch Hu. Abraham Avinu says, now I'm traveling. And when a person travels, a lot of things happens to the person. Not only spending more money, right? You don't eat right. You become more flexible because you're not in your environment. So Abraham Avinu says, I'm going to go to an environment called Misraim, the foundation of immorality of the world, a place that there is no godliness. How I'm going to survive? It's like you travel and you take vitamin C before you travel on the airplane, right? Or people use different kinds of herbal medicine in order to have their defense mechanism strong, because when you travel, you don't know what you're going to find. There are some places that when you arrive, and you have to wait a day before you get to move, simply because of the pressure. I think if a person travels to Bolivia, I think that they wait you at the airport with oxygen tanks. Yes, why? Because the altitude of that country, from a person that is accustomed to a certain kind of breathing pattern, may find it difficult. Somebody told me that in Mexico City also. I never experienced that, but I'll let you know very neither when I come back. But bottom line, we understand that the environment that is not our safe environment, it causes the person some spiritual challenges as well. And that's why the Zohar Kadosh explains that Abraham Avinu requested from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, God, help me to survive. And this is something that you should do every day. Every day. When you pray or after prayer, take a few moments and pray to HaKadosh Baruch Hu in your words, in your language. You know, today it has a nice word called hitbodedut, meditation, so to speak. This is something not new. This is something that has been going on for thousands of years. And this is something that the Zohar Kadosh is, that the person needs to talk to HaKadosh Baruch Hu, besides parnasah, besides refuah, besides asking for teshuvah, and all the beautiful blessings that the Amidah brings upon us. But a person needs to also pray for siyata dishmaya, for heavenly help, especially in the topic of survival. But we need to say something that is not pleasant to say, but is important to say it, because it's part of this week's parasha. What was Hashem's message to Abraham Avinu. God says to Abraham in the beginning of the parasha, go and I will show you the land. And the pasuk says, there I will make you a great nation, all the beautiful blessings. And the pasuk tells us right away that when Abraham Avinu came, immediately left to Egypt. The Zohar HaKadosh says that this transition of leaving his homeland, coming to Eretz Israel, and going down to Egypt, that was a strike against Abraham Avinu. And the Zohar HaKadosh explains, how could we say a strike against Abraham Avinu? We need to remember what happens after Abraham Avinu arrives to Egypt. What happens to Abraham Avinu? He comes to the pasuk, and let's read quickly the pasukim. And the pasuk says, Imbrina Hotiat, please say that you are my sister, so to speak. Lema'ani tabli va'aburech, so it will be beneficial for me because of you. Behayeta nafshi biglalech, and I will be able to survive because of you. And the pasuk says, Vayhi kevu Abraham Misraima. And when Abraham Avinu came to Egypt, okay, the pasuk writes, Vayru otah Misrim, Vayru Misrim et Aisha, and the Egyptians' customs, so to speak, saw the lady, Ki yafahi meod. She was a beautiful individual. Vayru otah sare Paro, and the ministers of Paro saw her. Vayhalelu otah el Paro, and they praised by saying, this beautiful lady is suitable to be the wife of the king. Batuka Haisha bet Paro, and the wife was taken to the palace. We all know, for everybody's peace of mind, that Baruch Hashem, nothing happened between Paro and Sarah. That Paro wasn't able to touch Sarah, to get close to Sarah. But I'm sure that we have a lot of questions in these Pesukim that I just read. So the Zohar HaKadosh explains as follows. The Zohar dissects a few ideas, and it says as follows. Why did Abraham say, now I know that you are a beautiful lady? Now you need to know, chronologically speaking, what happened. Abraham and Sarah, they were married for many years. Sarah was 15 years old when she married Abraham, that was 25 years old. Okay? And now in this week's parasha, we're going to talk, and actually in next week's parasha, we're going to talk about Sarah getting pregnant. At what age? 90 years old. So let's say that now we are in the age of Sarah of 70 years, 75 years old. Meaning to say she's married for 60 years. And I ask you a question. Does it take you 60 years to discover how beautiful your wife is? And if you take 60 years to say your wife, you're beautiful, that's a problem for Shalom Bayit. So I'm sure that Abraham Avinu knew that his wife was a beautiful lady. So, but why the sudden statement of the pasuk, now I know that you are a beautiful lady? So the Zohar HaKadosh explains, number one, that they had a tremendous amount of seniut, modesty between one another, which we still cannot understand. Even if you have modesty, you don't see your wife's face, you don't know your wife. So let's move on to the second opinion the Zohar says. And it says as follows, the aliyedeh de Torah orha barnash mitbazeh. It says that when a person travels, the body goes through changes. And it's true. We're not talking about New York, Miami, but let's say you travel to Israel. What happens when you land in Israel? Or you take an overnight flight to anywhere? What happens? You get tired, jet lag, you feel you need to take a shower, you need to change, and imagine that all these feelings are traveling in an airplane that has air conditioning and kosher food and reclining seats. But imagine yourself going back 3,700 years ago in a caravan, and I don't mean Dodge Caravan, I don't mean a Suburban, I mean camels. camels, donkeys, horses, sand, wind. And it says that the beauty of Sarah remained the same. No change. Don't you see when people travel on the airplane before they land, what they do? Put on makeup, freshen up, brush their hair, okay? What they do? When you ask, how can it be you flew 15 hours and you look like you just woke up and put on makeup? Because they did it before landing. So imagine yourself, close your eyes for a second, travel whatever amount of miles they had to travel or kilometers in order to reach the destination, and yet you remain with the same beauty. The Zohar continues and it says, Hine na yadati ki isha yefat mar'e at imbrina ahoti at. Please say that you are my sister. The Zohar Kadosh explains that this concept of sister, it doesn't mean a physical sister, because we know very well that Abraham was actually who? The uncle of Sarah, because Sarah was born from the brother of Abraham. So Haran. So the niece Sarah was actually the niece of Abraham Avinu. But the Gemara writes elsewhere that when a person marries the niece, it's a great celebration. Why? Because most likely such a couple will never get divorced. That's what the Gemara writes. Why they will never get divorced? Because even if you get divorced, the relationship still continues because she's your niece. She's your brother's daughter or your sister's daughter. And that's what the Pasuk says, Imrina Hotiyad. Yani before marriage, we are already relatives.
Forever.
This is right. But this is the superficial explanation. The Zohar Kadosh explains that this refers to actually to the Shekhinah. Abraham Avinu is saying to Kadosh Baruch Hu, Borei Olam, protect me. Protect me from the planning of the Egyptians to destroy me. This was part of the mindset of the Egyptians, as I said a few moments ago, that if the Egyptians will realize that actually they were husband and wife, the days of Abraham Avinu would have been counted. I know that this Zohar that I'm sharing with the Kahal today, it is a bit complicated and may not be as clear as other days it is. But the Zohar Kadosh is telling us, you cannot read this week's Torah portion, especially the first Aliyah that deals with the journey and the relationship between Abraham and Sarah, dry, with just reading the literal translation of the verse. We need to have the more deeper explanation in order to be able to understand the parasha of today. And that's what the Pasuk says, B'hayeta nafshi biglalech. My soul will survive in order to promote Hashem's name in the world. But irrelevant of everything that I said, later on, we are going to find next week's Torah portion a couple of miracles. One of the miracles were that Abraham and Isaac looked exactly the same. Why did Hashem make such a miracle? It is not always guaranteed that a son will look like the father. Maybe part of the face or some of the attitudes, the way they talk, but to say that if you put a copy, you put a paper, you put this tea bag on the copy machine, you press one and it comes out exactly the same. It says the Zohar Kadosh, and Rashi brings it down, that people of that generation, the buffoons of that generation, Lesanei Hador, they used to say, look at this interesting concept. Sarah and Abraham are married for 75 years. They went down to Egypt. She came back pregnant. So maybe the father is not Abraham, is actually Paro. And for that reason, Hashem made a miracle, and the face of Abraham and the face of Isaac were exactly the same. even though the personalities were different. Because we know this very well. Abraham Avinu represents compassion, Hesed, and Ishaq Avinu represents Geburah, discipline, self-control, strictness. But yet Hashem made a miracle in order so no one will dare to say that Ishaq was not the biological son of Abraham and Sarah. And Hashem made even a greater miracle that not only that Sarah was able to nurse Ishaq Avinu, but all the ladies brought their babies and Sarah nursed them as well. And the reason why I'm highlighting this miracle is because we need to understand that whatever happens to Abraham, Sarah, Ishaq, Yaakov, Rivka, Rachel, Leah, is not just a simple love story. These are the great tzaddikim and the foundation of Am Israel that Hashem made miracles for their survival and also to sanctify His name in the world. So the message that we derive from this deep Zohar is that a person needs to utilize perhaps an underutilized weapon, which means prayer. Doing mitzvot is beautiful, being kind is unbelievable, learning Torah is beautiful as well, but there is one that the Zohar seems to reinforce again and again and again. The aspect of prayer. And I'm not referring the Siddur, Shaharit, Minha, and Arvit. That's obviously we do it. But the idea of praying in your own time, praying in your own language. Now you're going to show a customer an apartment, right? Say amen. Amen. And hopefully he's going to buy it. Say amen.
Amen. Amen.
Beautiful. Now you need to pray before, right? I'll tell you what you have to say. Hashem, please help me to make a good business deal with this person. How long did it take this sentence? Less than a minute. And you can add, in order to support my wife, my kids, help my family, give charity, help the shul, whatever situation you want to do. And guess what? Once you do that, through your words of tefillah, you are connecting yourself with HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And don't worry if for some reason the deal doesn't happen. You know, Shlomo HaMelech says, Davar ve'ito matov. How wonderful are when things happen at the proper time. Maybe sometimes the person wants something to happen today, but Hashem knows that it's not good for the person. Somebody asked me about the Powerball yesterday. Did you buy a ticket? I said, yeah, I bought it last week. And I did not win. And I said to the person, Baruch Hashem, I'm happy that I did not win. I says, how could I be happy? You should have won, you could have done. You have to understand that money, Haz v'shalom, can become, in part, a big enemy of the person. And if I didn't win it, because Shamayim determined, believe me, I'm happier that I did not win. Doesn't mean that if I win, I wouldn't be happy. But it comes with a lot of challenges and a lot of, things that, and you read the statistics, the majority of those who won mega jackpots, bankruptcy, divorce, addictions, suicide, Haz v'shalom. So relax. Now, I'm sure that many people may not agree. Rabbi, you know how many yeshivot you can build, how many mikvaot, kolelim, synagogues. That's how the Yisrael Hara tells you many times. How many cars, how many boats, how many airplanes, how many headaches. So you need to be, suddenly you're going to be the most famous person in the world. Now you're going to have cousins from Taiwan, from Australia. I got an email the other day from the Department of the Commonwealth of Australia. There was somebody who passed away who happens to have my name. Yeah. And they want to verify if I'm related to them. I have to give them a retainer of $15,000. And to write, of course it's a scam. Of course, the Nigerian scam and Australian scam and South African scams. This reminds me of a story that a person got a phone call in a Torah class, and I was the eyewitness of this situation. Oh, your daughter suffered an accident. You need to come, And the person realized it was a scam. How? Because the daughter was sitting next to her.
Wow.
This is the diabolic brain of people that are, so to speak, targeting simple and innocent people. We don't have to go that route. I think I'm taking a detour from today's class, so let's come back. Since we're talking about money, let's talk about money. Today's halakha from the Shulchan Aruch Yoreh De'ah continues the opening statement of yesterday's halakha, the concept of giving charity. Charity, as we discussed yesterday, is a beautiful mitzvah. Who needs to give charity? Who is obligated to give charity? Good question. So the short answer is, Kol Adam Hayav Liten Tzedakah. Every person must give. What about a poor person? It says, Afilu ani hamitparnes min hatzedakah. Even a person that survives on the money that he collects, he needs to give mimma sheitnu lo. Whatever you receive, give a few coins into the kuppah. What happened if a person who doesn't want to give? In the olden days, they used to have certain systems that the community will support the needy of the town. And they did it a very beautiful service and system. Every member of the shul needed to participate, let's say, $50 a year for the Chesed fund. So whenever needy people come to ask for help, you give them. Which till today we do this. Till today, mamash, we do it. People come for help, we give them something, each situation accordingly. But what happens if a person says, you know what, I don't want to be participant of that community program? What do we do to this person? You know what the halakha says? Kofinoto. Almost shehita. Umakinoto. We wake him up, we shake him up. And you need to participate according to the means of the person. It doesn't mean that we're forcing people to give. Maybe this is a statement of the Shulchan Aruch to tells you that when there is a community project of helping people, it's good to be part of it. In your limited scale. It's not telling you here, give 50% of your salary. Give tzedakah. Nothing to do with ma'aser. Ma'aser is a different halakha. Now we're talking about charity. And Baruch Hashem, I believe that every one of us gives charity daily. Before tefillah, by Baruch David, people come to collect. You come home, you put a few coins in the kuppah. You're at the office, you put a few coins in the kuppah. It's a beautiful mitzvah to do. And continues and it says, what about orphans? Can the committee enforce an amount for the orphans to give? Short answer is no. What about if Haz v'Shalom, there is a situation of kidnapping? That's what the halakha brings down. Pidyon shevu'im. There is such a thing. Pidyon shevu'im. Unfortunately, in the world, the topic of kidnapping is alive and well. And unfortunately, without going into details, there are Jewish communities in the world that they have negotiation teams in order to settle the amount with the kidnappers. In some places, they call kidnap express. Randomly, they pick a person, they ask a small amount, they release them and move on. But lo aleno velo alechem. There are cases that when the ransom is a 6 figures, 7 figures. Don't be involved in this, but as a rabbi I get to know a lot of things, but I do know 2-3 countries in South America that they have this in place constantly. And the committee of the community tells you, don't negotiate. Call the professionals, which are Jewish people from the community, train in this particular manner. And we hope and pray that all the negotiations have a happy ending, Be'ezrat Hashem. And nobody gets kidnapped, etc. But we need to value the beautiful lifestyle that we have here. And I don't mean the weather, I don't mean the luxury, I'm not talking about the ocean. I'm talking about the peace of mind that a person is able to go home, work, travel, walk around without bodyguards, without bulletproof cars. You know, I remember once I was in Brazil a few years back, and a member of the shul takes me and he says, let me open the door for you. He says, no, I can open the door. No, the door is too heavy. It's a bulletproof car. What kind of car was it? Toyota Corolla. You will say, Rabbi, Bentley, Mercedes, Lexus, Genesis, maybe, but you're going to bulletproof Toyota Corolla? Of course, because if you drive a high-end car, you become a target. And that's why in South America, you'll see people that Baruch Hashem do very well, but they live a very standard, middle-of-the-road lifestyle. Not low profile. In order not to attract, which overall, be'emet, the truth of the matter is that a person should always try to live the middle of the road. Always within your means and try to go on the middle of the road. Now, tomorrow, Be'ezat Hashem, tomorrow, the halakha, I will give a class before I leave. The halakha will discuss the different levels of charity. But let's go quickly to the musar of today. Let's say that somebody comes and screams at you. Okay? Screams at you. That's the opening statement of the musar of today. And you did not do anything to him. The person came, maybe had a rough day at home, in the office, in traffic, and comes and screams at you. Now the person wants to apologize to you because he realized that he acted in a way that is completely unacceptable. So what is the procedure of asking forgiveness? Asking forgiveness is not easy for a lot of people. Many people have difficulty in saying, I'm sorry, I made a mistake, I did wrong, please forgive me. But we need to try to follow the Mishnah in Pirkei Avot that says, be difficult to get angry and be easy to forgive and forget. Okay? So it says as follows. So you went to this fellow, ubikesh mimenu mehila. You asked him for forgiveness one time, and he did not forgive you. Second time, he did not forgive you. So what do? You're supposed to, by the third time, you need to bring a group of people and witnesses, a group of 3 and 3 according to this, 9 people altogether, and the victim is going to be, the aggressor will be number 10 for a minyan, and you say publicly, I came to this fellow and I went to him to ask for forgiveness because I realized that I hurt him by screaming at him. And therefore you ask Hashem, please, in the name of the minyan, forgive me. This is Sefer Hasidim. Not only that this halakha is applicable even concerning someone that died. Haz v'shalom. You're supposed to take a minyan to the cemetery and you ask forgiveness publicly and you make a special prayer. Why? Because you don't want to have any pending businesses with a person that is no longer among the living. That's the reason the halakha of today is a very interesting halakha. Not only that, what happens when a person, Haz v'shalom, accuse someone Mosi Shem Ra. Mosi Shem Ra in English is slander. You are accusing someone of something that they did not do. Lashon hara is the truth. In other words, you saying, I saw this and this person doing XYZ. That's also wrong. But Lashon hara usually is on a truthful event. Mosi Shem Ra is a false accusation. So is there forgiveness for this sin? No. The short answer is No. Why not? Because no one knows the damage that you cause to this individual by accusing him or her falsely. Clear message. Clear. I want to say something, but I'd rather exercise self-control today. And we'll move on. When you hurt someone verbally, and the reason I say verbally, because this seems to be the way it's written, which the Gemara says that is the most difficult teshuvah to made of. And it says, or let's say that rakak means spit. A person in a moment of anger spit at someone, but the spitting didn't touch you. So you say, oh, I'm happy it didn't touch me, right? Let's see the consequence. Patur midine adam. There is no liability that he must pay you because he didn't hurt you, he didn't touch you. If the spit would have touched you, you can claim the money for the cleaners, you can claim money for embarrassment. But the fact it didn't touch you, I think the law could be a bit different. But the Hidush of Sefer Hasidim says, Hayab bedine shamayim. Not to worry. Maybe the bedin cannot enforce a financial penalty on you, but the shamayim will activate judgment against the person that spit. Why? Because you cause suffering to another person. There is mehila if the person asks for mehila, but mosih shemra is worse, and that's what it says. Besar, let's say, and it says here, be'al sar besar, and every time that a person causes suffering to another person, the invoices get open in Shamayim. And that's what Shlomo HaMelech says, Ki al kol ele yaviacha ha'elohim b'mishpat. Upon all this, the Almighty will bring to judgment. Al kol ne'elam. On the things which are hidden. As the Gemara in Masechet Hagigah. What does it mean, al kol ne'elam? Whatever is hidden. So the Sefer Hasidim explains. Let's say that now we are learning, calm, beautiful, sunny Florida day, and suddenly there is a mosquito flying in the room. Okay? Somebody left the door open and a mosquito comes. And you are Superman and you grab the mosquito and you kill the mosquito with your hands. Okay? Which obviously you shouldn't do. Avoid killing animals, especially a mosquito or a fly. We discussed this in Tomer Devorah back before the holiday. Wow. Open the door, let them fly. Okay, we are here to learn, not to worry. Anyways, now what did you do? You killed this fly. Or let's say the fly came to the table, you take it, and you killed the fly. Oh, in Shamayim says, write him a ticket. No, that's not the reason. He says he is liable because he killed the mosquito. No, the liability is because now, by me killing this mosquito in front of you, I caused a feeling of repugnancy inside of your life. I caused you suffering. He said, ugh. So that is also accounted for. And these are things that nobody knows. Because you don't say when you feel disgusted about something. Maybe you turn around, maybe you walk out. And that's what Sefer Hasidim says. Not only that, all this is Ben Adam L'Havero. Beyesh Omrim, and there is a second opinion, and it says, Ze harokek. You need to blow your nose. Or let's say you have phlegm in your throat. How do you release it? How do you get rid of it? You don't have in a napkin, that's a given. The question is, right, but there are those who make a lot of sounds and they don't care to do it in front of you, in a napkin. You need to sneeze, you can't control it. But you need to take something from your mouth, do it on the side. Do it quietly. When you blow your nose, it's not tekiyat shofar. It's not tekiyat shofar. Some people, when they blow their nose, you can hear from now till the condominium across the street. I know I'm exaggerating, but I'm not. Pay attention around you. How people sometimes cough, which we can control. Sneeze, you can control. But if they have to blow their nose, if they have to bring some phlegm from the mouth, whatever, have common sense and human decency. Because yes, you may be relieving yourself in a certain way, but guess what the Musar says? You are causing an ill feeling to your friend that is sitting next to you or to your spouse. That's why when people burp, what they say, excuse me. That's a nice way of derech eretz. And that's what in a way what the Musar is telling us. It says derech eretz, proper behavior, is not only I drive between the speed limit, I pay taxes, I give my charity. All that is beautiful. But how do you conduct? Are you taking into consideration somebody else's feelings, or you only care about yourself? And that's why it says that there were those who were very careful that whenever they witness a situation that is uncomfortable, like the fellow who killed the fly, they will forgive them immediately. For what reason? So Shamayim will not come and collect from the perpetrator. Look, you did this action, now you caused the rabbi or Mr. Cohen or Mr. Levy to feel bad about it. So you forgive them, so Shamayim will not collect from them. And this is something, to finalize it, today's class, that we say in the Shema at night. The Pasuk says, before we go to sleep, Hareni Mohel Besoleach, right? Shema at night, I'm hereby forgiving everyone who hurt me, against me, physically, financially, in my honor, in anything that I have, that I own, unintentionally, willingly, in purpose, verbally, with actions, in this life or in previous lifetimes. God, I don't want anyone to be punished because of me. So what does it mean? That Shamayim takes into consideration people's suffering. Not only good deeds. You thought you did a good deed by killing the fly on the table. Yeah, but you caused a repugnant feeling to 10 people around the table. So instead of doing something good, you suddenly have 10 averot in your account. And that's why the Musar of today tells us, don't neglect people's feelings, people's sensitivity. And what the Musar is teaching us also, I think, and I believe that I'm accurate, I hope, but I think that everybody will agree, that sensitivity is not determined by me, but by me meaning the one who killed the fly. Sensitivity is determined by the victim, by the person, because I may say, don't be so sensitive. Don't be so sensitive. Here is telling us, you need to be sensitive. Sensitivity number one, at home. Your wife, your children, your people in the office, your friends, all important. But number one, start at home. My dear friends, have a great day everybody. Shavua Tov u'mevorach. Baruch Adonai le'olam.